Thank you to Paper and the team. It's an absolute pleasure to have Blurs out on the label. You're absolutely one of the most iconic dance labels, and I appreciate so much working with y'all. Yeah, well, I've been a musician since I was a little kid. And in fact, I had an older brother who was a guitar virtuoso who also really liked to trip and take LSD. And he would tell me stories that when I was as young as, 2 or 3 years old, that he would play guitar and have me play drums with him. And he would be on these, fantastical trips and journeys. And I'd be playing along. And, that's how I learned, improvisational music kind of got into my system. And then as I got older, once I had the dexterity to get behind a drum kit, I started playing in bands, played CBGBs at a very young age. I think I was 16. And then I got into electronic music. Probably my first foray into that was through a Yamaha QY sequencer. Evolved to Fruity Loops. Started going to nightclubs in New York and actually started working to promote at some of the clubs. Palladium in particular, started going to the Tunnel. And just became enamored with the music that I heard and that I was dancing to, until the early hours of the morning. And I would go back home and, try to recreate the music that I heard in my head. And at the time I had, a 4-track cassette recorder, some CD players, some guitar effects pedals, and the QY. And I just would patch them all together and whatever really instruments I could kind of loop into this situation, and started making mixtapes. And then the mixtape sounded good, and it was time to get some turntables. I listen to so much music that it's really hard to pick out, any one influence. I love all kinds of genres, and I actually spend a lot of time listening to various types of music, new and classic. So when I get into the studio and I go to write and produce, it's rarely, thinking about something musical that gets the project started. It's typically a memory or an experience or some type of trip or journey that I've had that I wind up reimagining in my mind and then bringing the sounds that I recall to life through the production. I'll start with drums, bass, keyboard, anything that comes to mind that can get the musical project started. And then as I get the sounds down on paper, it starts to come to life. In the studio, I like to have various instruments around. I like to work in the box and then also have instruments to play, from drums and percussion to synthesizers. Lately, I've been really digging the Hydra synth and a Moog grandmother. I spend a considerable amount of time mixing and working on sound design and effects, and I really do like a fair amount of plugins for that, and really dig all kinds of virtual instruments as well. Have to shout out Cherry Audio. I really dig a lot of their synths. UVI, their stuff sounds really great. And then in terms of mixing and recording, Melda is one of my favorite go-tos for plugins. I use a Softube Console 1 system to help make the experience more tactile, and I'll incorporate turntables, sampling, you name it. New York is a really special place, and Brooklyn in particular has always been a home for house music. What I think is the best part about New York is the entire metro area. You can find all kinds of nooks and crannies and great places to party and great DJs and new parties, and it's just an amazing hub of music in general. Yeah, definitely I do. I really enjoy going into the studio with, some fresh coconut water. Maybe not a lot in terms of the way of like traditional snacks, but I dig nootropics in the studio for sure. Lately, one of my favorite combinations is a mix of saffron and bacopa, two plant botanicals that just have a really nice opening effect of the mind. Helps me write. I dig it.